right, we're gonna warm up your lower body to get ready to squat. So first thing, I want you to find a bench or a step or something like that, and we're gonna push that knee over your toe and then come back out of it. So push the knee over the toe, really kind of getting some movement out of that ankle as much as possible. Just maybe 5 to 8 on one side, and then 5 to 8 on the other side. And really keeping that heel on the surface and pushing that knee forward. And if you need to sit into it a little bit more, that's okay too. All right, shaking out those legs. We're gonna do some rocking. So with the rocking, toes tucked under, pushing back with your hands and keeping your spine really long. So this is basically a squat position. So if I were standing, my feet would be on the floor and this would be my squat, coming down into the squat. And then you want to do the same thing with one leg out to stretch that inner thigh a little bit. Good, pushing back into it, rocking. So you can allow that toe to come up, or you can keep the foot down, whatever feels best. Try both ways. Switching sides, and so you want your knee just outside of your hip on these. So you don't want this, right? You want your knee outside your hip. I'm allowing my toe to come up for the first couple, and then I'm gonna keep it flat. Keeping my back flat, not curling my spine. All right, and then our hip flexor stretch. So I'm gonna add a hamstring to the hip flexor stretch. So a hamstring stretch as well. I'm going to tuck my tailbone so I feel this really good hip flexor stretch. Breathe into it. As I'm tucking, I'm pushing into it. I'm pushing this hip forward, not arching the back, okay? So I'm pushing the hip forward to get that good hip flexor stretch, and then I'm gonna come back and stretch my hamstring. And then push forward, stretch this hip flexor, back, stretch this hamstring. I'm gonna do 5 on each. Pushing forward, and then stretching the hamstring, and then I'll switch sides. So I'm gonna tuck that tailbone, get a good hip flexor stretch. Really make sure I feel that in this, the front of this leg that's on the floor. So I'm gonna push forward and then stretch this hamstring. Push this hip flexor forward, stretch this hamstring. So hip flexor is the front of the hip, hamstring is the back of this straight leg. 4 and 5. All right, now we're gonna do a 90-90. So 90-degree angle, 90-degree angle. I'm going to lean over this front leg just straight for 5 seconds, and then I'll come out of it. I'm gonna take this shoulder to the opposite knee, twisting, and I'm gonna pull this foot up. So I'm gonna pull and then release. Pulling this foot up and turning 2. Pulling this foot up, 3. So I'm really getting a good twist in my hip, 4 and 5. Okay, now I'm gonna push this knee down and open up the opposite hip. 2, 3, 4, keeping my chest forward, 5. And now I'll switch sides. So the first one is this chest is straight over this hip, so I'm going to feel that good stretch. And now I'm going to opposite shoulder to the hip and pull up this foot. So pulling, twisting, and then push. Pull, and then push away. Pull, push away. 4, and 5. Good. And then I'm going to push down with this knee and lift that opposite knee. 2, 3, 4, 5. Really getting those hips opened up. And last, I'm going to do a prying squat on either like a doorway or one of these. I'm going to pull myself down and then wiggle a little bit down at the bottom. Push down through both feet to stand up. Pull myself down, wiggle those hips around and stand. Pull, wiggle, push down through both feet. And do that as many times as you'd like until you feel like you have some space in your hips and you are ready to squat.